All right, well, good evening. We're going to get started. On behalf of Princeton Public Library, welcome to this evening's program, Getting Started with Generative AI for Small Businesses. Just a few housekeeping notes before I introduce our presenters and let them do their thing. Following the presentation, there will be time for Q&A. So if you have any questions for the presenters, please drop those in the Q&A feature on the bottom in the toolbar, and I will be sure to get those to our presenters. Also, this program is being recorded and it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel over the coming days. So do head over there if you'd like to revisit it or check out one of the many videos of past programs that we offer on that channel. You can go to youtube.com/C/Princeton PL. That is our channel. All right. So I will now introduce our two guest presenters. Naga Tumaluri is a seasoned leader with over 18 years of experience in risk compliance and digital transformation across global financial services. He holds a bachelor's degree from the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, and a master's in finance from Texas A&M. Naga has held leadership roles at Citibank and Ernst & Young, where he also received multiple awards for training excellence and on-the-job coaching. Currently, he leads AI-driven education and innovation initiatives, helping managers harness the power of generative AI to drive productivity and strategic growth. Dr. Kushal Shah is an AI and data science educator with over 15 years of experience across academia and industry. With a B.Tech and PhD graduate degree from IIT Madras, he has held faculty positions at IIT Delhi and IISER Bhopal, and a few other universities in India. He's also worked as a data scientist in the biomedical and analytics sectors. He is passionate about applying AI to real-world problems and making advanced technology education accessible to all. And with that, I will let you take it away, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Laura. Thank you for the kind introduction. Good evening, everyone. What we want to do here is a little bit of an introduction of generative AI. I'm sure you all have a lot of questions, or you all have gone through a lot of tools. So we want to dive in a little bit, maybe give a little bit more insight into it and how you can use generative AI from a small business perspective. With that in mind, I'm going to dive in. And I'm going to ask a few questions. If you can start putting some of your thoughts on the chat so Laura can get those to us, and then we can definitely make sure we do talk about things that you are interested in. So let me dive in. Kushal, can you confirm you can see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. So what we want to cover is we will start off with a quick parking lot. So like I mentioned, I'm going to skip over that slide, but if you all can just start putting some of the questions you have in terms of what you wanted to learn today, or even just have further conversations on in terms of generative AI, please go ahead and do it. I'll do a quick touch upon what just understanding of generative AI, how it can be used for small businesses. And I'm going to turn it over to Kushal, who will talk about some of the applications of AI, some of the tools, RAG, which is which is something that many organizations are implementing to ensure some of the data controls over the new agentic AI, how it can be used, what can be done. And I'll kind of close it with some of the prompt engineering that really would help on a day-to-day basis, talk about some of the challenges in the small business, and then we'll talk about a business case on if you decide to do implement generative AI, what are the things you want to consider, some of the cost benefit analysis and all those things. And then we'll get to the Q&A. With that, I'm going to dive in. We've done introductions and parking lots, so I'm going to hold off on that and really jump into understanding of generative AI. So, like, what is generative AI? At the basic level, generative AI is this machine that tries to predict the very next word and next letter of what it is. So there is no brain behind it. It's trying to regurgitate based on the information, vast information that's been there. It has been trained models using patterns, and it tries to predict the very next letter for each word. So when something gets, when you ask a question and there's a response that comes back, it is creating the response while you're seeing it. And it's trying to come up with what is the most logical response based on the questions and the data trained. So many times I do get questions saying, "Hey, is this something that when I ask a question, does it get into a little bit of, is there a brain behind it?" No, there's nothing as such. It's being smart about what it can say. With that said, there's a lot of benefits from day-to-day operations on how you can use it. Some of the obvious ones are you can increase the efficiency, like the things that you're trying to create, whether you're creating a legal document, whether you're creating a proposal document, how much time you're spending. How much time you're spending on proofreading and creating those first drafts and second drafts, creating effective marketing content, creating very nice slick videos, social media posts, and how to strategize on posting. All of these things can be vastly improved using generative AI. Some of the data that you can load into the system when, and you can ask it to kind of evaluate and then come up with some of the suggestions, are very effectively can be used there. Kushal, anything you want to add in terms of how these can be implemented for generative AI?
Yeah, first of all, very, very good evening to all of you. And I must thank the Princeton Public Library for giving us this wonderful opportunity. So generative AI, as I'm sure, at least some of you would have been using ChatGPT for writing letters, creating, emails and stuff like that. So that is the power of generative AI for you. And, this is one of the technologies which has taken over the world in a very, very short time. As you may know, ChatGPT was launched in November 22, and within just 5 days, it crossed like 1 million downloads, which is the fastest ever for any software in the world so far. So the primary difference between generative AI and conventional software, because software has been there in existence for many decades now, but what's so special about Gen AI? So Gen AI is basically taking away the need to write everything explicitly. What do I mean by that is that, when you have a business process and you are using software for that, somebody has written that software, of course, and you have paid for that. And whoever has written that software had to write down every single step explicitly of what that software will do when you click somewhere or when you type something into it. Generative AI has made that significantly simpler because it has incorporated intelligence into that software so that the programmer does not have to specify every single step, but has to give overall guidelines that if this situation happens, do this. If this situation happens, do this, without having to go into the absolute nitty-gritty of everything. And that is the power of generative AI, which you can harness for many different applications, which we are going to look into very soon.
Thank you very much, Kushal. That was very well explained. Okay, with that, I'm actually going to turn it over to Kushal. Kushal, do you want to dive into some of the applications here?
Yes, definitely. Thanks, Naga. So when it comes to applications of Gen AI or other kinds of AI, so there are two kinds of AI actually. One is Gen AI and the other one I'm going to talk about very soon in the next slide. So there are two primary things that any software can do in a business. One is to reduce costs and one is to increase revenue. The increasing revenue part is slightly harder, I must say, and that requires a lot more, thinking and detailing, which we are not going to get into today. What we are going to focus on is the reducing cost part and the increasing efficiency part. And AI can very, very easily help you in doing that. If you are not doing that already, you are missing out on a great opportunity. So how can it help you in reducing costs and increasing efficiency? As a small business owner, I'm sure you do a lot of marketing and content creation. You write some posts, you write newsletters, you create visuals in the form of flyers, websites, and stuff like that. And for that, you pay somebody. There is some ad agency who does all this designing for you, and they charge a lot. Because that is a skill. But AI can now do most of that very, very easily. It still requires oversight. You cannot trust it blindly, definitely. But now, what used to take, let's say, a week to generate can be done in just 2 days. Sorry, 2 seconds, not 2 days, just 2 seconds. But what that requires is clarity from your side. If you want a newsletter, you need to know what exactly should go into that newsletter. If you want a visual, you should know exactly what should go into that visual. And tools like Nano Banana, for example, they are great image generators, and ChatGPT even can also do that. So you could very easily use these tools to create posts, newsletters, and stuff like that. If you haven't done that, please start doing that immediately. Just head over to ChatGPT and write a detailed set of requirements for this is what your newsletter or post should contain, and it will do that for you. But again, please don't trust it blindly. There is still some work required, but the efficiency gains are immense and the cost savings are immense. What would take you maybe $100 to generate can now be done for just absolutely free of cost. The second thing where AI can definitely help in productivity and operations. So we had a study done by Anthropic, which is the maker of Claude AI, about where exactly are people using AI for. What are the top uses of AI? And what they found very interestingly is that brainstorming or critical thinking was the highest use of AI in the world today. So, we used to think earlier that, all this software will take away the menial, laborious tasks, and humans will be left to do the creative things. The opposite is happening. One way to look at it is kind of, unfortunate that artists, are going to lose their jobs. But the other way to look at it is that, maybe, it's okay that humans can perhaps do other things more effectively, and maybe AI can do these things, which we thought was a very human-like thing to do, but maybe not. Maybe, just silicon can do that, better than us. So you should use AI for brainstorming as well. You should treat it like your business partner in some sense. Explain to it what do you want to build, what do you want to sell, what are the challenges you are facing, and you will see that AI can come up with some really amazing suggestions that you would not have seen earlier. And for this, if you have, some extra cash, we would strongly recommend you to buy one of the, paid softwares. These kind of Chat GPT and, Gemini and Claude, they all have a paid version. So strongly recommend you to consider that, because that gives you, a lot of, features, which the free version, does not have. You can create reports, for example. You can even create slides and all that based on these brainstorming sessions. And every company generates data of some kind. You have customer data, you have inventory data and stuff like that, which earlier you would maybe hire an intern to analyze, give you reports, give you insights. But now AI can do that very, very well. You can, for example, upload an Excel file into your Chat GPT and ask it to analyze the Excel file and give you, insights. You can create proposals, you can create business use cases, all of that. So here, what is required now is basically like you would instruct a human intern to do a certain task. Now, instead of instructing a human intern, you would instruct a AI to do the task for you. And what is required from your side is clarity. What do you want? What are the challenges? How do your customers think? Once you have that clarity and you input that into your AI system, you will see that the results are far more amazing than what a human intern might have done for you. And of course, customer support. This is, of course, not a new thing. Chatbots have been in existence for quite some time. But what AI enables is a much better capability of responding to questions, which cannot be done using rule-based chatbots. So earlier we have had chatbots, but they were rule-based. What does that mean? That if the user query contains, for example, this keyword, then answer this. If the user contains, that keyword, answer in this way. But now we can do the chatbot thing in a much more intelligent way, which I'm going to talk about in the next slide, where you can actually have an AI understand the user query in a deeper way and then answer, much more properly than what just a rule-based thing would do. So these are some applications. We can get into details of them at some time in the future. But for now, we just wanted to give you an overview of some of the things that AI can do for you. Naga, you want to add something here?
Yeah, Kushal, if I may, I want to actually talk about a use case that I've actually done very recently. When Kushal was talking about brainstorming, I think this is pertinent. So very recently, I was working with an organization and they were looking for an organizational restructuring. Typically, that's a consulting work where you come in, you talk to people, and then you start evaluating what are the different organizational options, take some of the rules from McKinsey, and see what you can come up with and all. I instead kind of did the what Kushal suggested, the brainstorming through AI. And what I've done was I've documented the initially the interviews, saying, okay, what are your pain points? What are other challenges you have? And then I've uploaded those documents into the ChatGPT, and then I started asking questions, saying, give me a summary of all the challenges that are experienced. Where do you see, given the organizational structure, where are the pain points coming from? What are the areas that potential improvements can occur? Give me suggestions without using AI, and with using AI, where improvements can happen from a people, process, and technology perspective. It gave me multiple different responses, directions, but the key was for me to have an interaction going back and forth, and then talk to my client, coming back and forth and having those conversations. With that, I further moved on to creating the future state, looking at what is the new organizational structure, what is the location strategy, how many people, what is the level, how would you streamline, what was all of this typically would have taken me about a team of 4 to 5 people, uh, easily about 5 to 6 weeks. Instead, what I was able to achieve through these conversations was 1 week output, something that is at the consultant level, but that was meaningful to the client and how they can actually implement. And that is the power of AI. It's not, oh, let me ask for a recipe and then come up with, hey, I have 3 things, let me make. But it's to be able to do that back and forth and then really create that final product that is meaningful and actionable. Yep. Go ahead, Kushal. Thank you.
Yeah, guys, if you have any questions, please share on the chat. We'll be happy to answer, as we go through the presentation.
Okay.
Uh, so one of the applications that we just spoke about was marketing and stuff like that. And for that, as I mentioned, that you should definitely consider using some of the paid tools. You have ChatGPT is free, of course, but its paid version can do a lot better stuff than what the free version can do. You have Canva, which some of you may have used. You have Jasper, Copilot, and many others, stuff like that. And here, of course, you have to be careful about the privacy and ethical considerations, that when you're uploading some information to this AI stuff, better to avoid uploading very sensitive information. And if you're uploading any sensitive information, it is better to anonymize that so that it cannot be traced back to any individual or company, as such. For example, if you are, uploading some kind of a business report or some business data to derive insights, from that data, it's better to add some kind of an anonymization if it's a very sensitive, business data, so that you don't get into trouble later on. So the point that we are trying to make over here is that there are a lot of tools available, and you of course have to choose the tools that fit your business needs. That is definitely required. But even while using the tool, you have to be little careful so that the use is done in a safe manner. And how do you do that? primarily focus on uploading data, getting insights with instructions, but avoid uploading very sensitive data. That if you take care of that, you are more or less fine.
Yeah, and I just want to add one of the things we will do, and we'll work with Laura here. We have created a list of some of the foremost AI tools, and we'll share that, which that can be shared. So we'll share a version of this in a PDF file. So you'll kind of see the different types of tools that are there that can be used for different topics. Kushal, do you want to focus on anything or just mention anything or uh, thank you?
No, it's okay. I mean, we can share this list and then they can sort of,
Yeah.
try out any one of them.
Yeah, and I just want to say we've kind of did our best to put the pricing models. Please understand these tools change constantly, pricing structures change constantly. So you are better off going in and checking the validity of it, but it kind of gives you a sense of what tools are out there beyond the obvious chatbots. Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah. So this is, one of the most important use cases of AI for businesses. And this is basically, helpful in two different domains. One, I spoke about ChatGPT and chatbots like that. So we all use ChatGPT for our purpose to get general purpose information for brainstorming, etc. The good thing is that you can use these AI algorithms to build a chatbot of your own, which your customers can chat with to get information about your company, your product, your services, and even about orders that they may have placed on the past on some online website from your company. So what does this do? So what is retrieval augmented generation? That is what RAG stands for. So let's say when a user asks a question, there are of course, rule-based mechanisms to implement a chatbot, which was done earlier, but as I said, they are very restrictive because they do not understand the semantics of the question. They do not understand the meaning and the context of what the user is trying to ask. But with RAG, you can actually, understand the semantics of the question using these AI models, and then you can use that understanding to extract relevant information from your database. So the step one of RAG is to create a database of all information relevant to your company in the form of reports, in the form of FAQs, and any other form that may be suitable. So what is retrieval? Retrieval, once a user query comes in, you need to retrieve the documents from your database which are relevant for the user query. Once you have retrieved them, then you can send those documents along with the user query to a generative AI model to actually generate the final answer. And why is it useful? As I said, this helps in creating context aware chatbots instead of just simple rule based chatbot, right? So you can combine AI generation with document retrieval for accurate responses. And some of the examples are AI answering facts, where instead of human beings having to go through the facts manually, they can ask relevant questions and the AI can answer that intelligently. You can even use it for internal manuals. For example, if you're a large company where you have a lot of rules and regulations for different departments, you can implement an internal RAG system so that any new employee, for example, doesn't know much about the process. They can come in, ask questions, and get their queries answered. What are the benefits? That the responses are relevant to the user query, because now the system can understand the semantics and the context of the user question instead of just depending on some keyword matching. These responses can become much more accurate, and you can even have data privacy, in the sense you can implement some kind of access control where an individual has access only to a certain part of the data based on their role and kind of designation. So basically, the idea is to build a chat GPT like thing, but with custom knowledge, where you are not using just information available on the public internet, but actually your internal information within the company. And these are some other softwares can be used. Uh, so we are not doing a demo right now, but yeah, we can do a separate session where sometime in the future, where we can show you exactly how to build this rack thing. But as a business owner, we would suggest you not try to build it yourself because this requires specialized experience and expertise. So we would be happy to help you in doing that. But yeah, please, we can connect on that sometime in the future.
Yeah, one of the things I find very beneficial about RAG is the fine prints, right? So if you have an when you upload your contracts, be careful on what data you're exposing to generative AI. With that being said, if you're able to upload a version of your contract where you are able to upload all the fine prints, the terms and conditions, the different policies, the regulations that you have to comply, whether it's a state regulation or the federal regulation, and then you start asking questions saying, hey, I'm trying to do this based on the policies, based on the regulations, can this be done? What are the downfalls? What are my blind spots, for example? And then it can actually contextualize using those documents and respond to you saying, okay, if you're doing this, you have these 5 considerations. Like, for example, the recent tariff changes that have happened. If you're able to document that and upload it, and then say, okay, I'm trying to buy this new product. What kind of tariff considerations would I have? What kind of restrictions are there in place? What kind of sanctions if I'm trying to upload some material from this new country that I'm not exploring because it's hard to bring material from China, as an example. These are things that now can become a conversational point for you with the chatbot, and RAG will allow you to focus on those specific topics and you avoid the whole hallucination aspect of it. But remember, every response needs to be checked. RAG allows you to be more accurate, get more accurate responses, but nothing coming out of Gen AI is completely perfect, but you'll get directional responses. Yeah.
We have two questions in the chat. Naga, you want to take it up?
I cannot see the question. If you don't mind just
Yeah, so
telling.
one
I
question
can
is,
read, yes, I can read
yeah,
them out.
Okay.
We have one question. What would you recommend as the most cost-effective paid tool?
We need a little bit of more context. It depends on what you're trying to do. If you're just trying to get a a chat, um, there's one thing is each chat GPT, if sorry, each chatbot has its own specialized view. For example, I think till recently Claude was more useful if you're coding. If you were trying to do coding, we would highly recommend going through Claude. Gemini has become a much more powerful tool these days, but its responses are much more limited and to the point. Whereas when you go to ChatGPT, you get pretty expansive responses. Again, it tends to hallucinate more on ChatGPT. So it depends on the usage that you're intending to do, and based on that, you should try the product. The one other thing, and I'll have Kushal weigh in more, but one other thing I will mention is these chatbots are continuously evolving. What I mean by that is do not commit to one chatbot for a long term. Try to do on a short term basis, explore, use, and then move on to another chatbot because something else will come and it's going to be better than this in 3 months' time. Kushal, I'm sure you have more things you want to weigh in there. Go ahead.
no, mostly I agree, and I would like to emphasize on the point which Naga made is that, it's kind of better to have an open mind when it comes to these chatbots and not get, fixated for a long term on one single thing because their capabilities keep changing. And the interesting thing is that they keep improving upon themselves, very soon. So, for example, now there is some talk of, the kind of third version of Gemini coming in November 18, most probably, and there are talks that GPT 5.1 will be released soon after that to take away all the limelight, from Gemini. So these tools keep, evolving. I personally, for example, use all the three, simultaneously because, they do different, differently on different questions. So yeah. So and again, just to emphasize on something that Naga again said earlier is that for simple chat applications, of course, you have this chat GPT and stuff like that. But if you're looking for some specialized applications, for example, marketing content generation, slide generation and stuff like that, for that there are specialized softwares which list we have in the Excel file which Naga showed you, and we'll be sharing with Laura, who can then pass it on to.
Uh,
Absolutely happy to do that.
yeah.
Thank
Laura, you said there was another question.
Yes, this is a big question. I'm curious to know the answer. Any copyright issues for using images generated by AI on my company's website?
Yeah, let me take that one. Not at this point. And I say that not at this point because the regulation has not caught up, and typically regulations take a while to catch up. With that being said, you can generate an image, and then you can say, okay, this image was generated by you, um, and trust and when I've done this and I have observed that other people, if they're looking for a similar image, they will get a very same image. So make sure when you prepare an image, it's in a very unique way that's suited for you, and you can go ahead and use it. Otherwise, your images will look very similar to somebody else's in some of the website, and you will not stand out, and that's part of what you're trying to do. With that being said, we'll definitely look to California in the US to see if they're coming up with any regulations. This is part of the world I do live in, so if something new comes up, we'll know. I know there is something that has come up in Europe. If you have websites that you have European users, I would definitely look at what they're doing. At this point, there is no copyright issue on the image generated. I say that again. With that being said, if you ask for an image, hey, I want a likeness of, and then you put someone's name in there and then similar, there's a very real possibility that they might come and sue you if you become very popular. So be prepared for that.
We have one more. We have one more question that just came in while you were answering that. Also a great question. Can you ask the AI not to hallucinate? So can you ask it not to make things up?
The simple answer is no. The trick to avoid hallucination is to end your chats quickly. So when you pick up a topic, run through your topic, get your responses, close it down. If you have to start a new topic, start a new chat session. Do not continue with the old session. That allows you to avoid hallucinating. Hallucination is nothing but, like I said, it's trying to predict the next letter based on all the information and everything. Internet is a huge garbage system. There's so much nonsense out there, and that's what the data has been used to train these models. So hallucination, unfortunately, is bound to happen. But if you limit your questions, if you keep it in context, and if you get your responses and end the chat session, you will avoid those hallucinations. Kushal, anything you want to add there?
Yeah, I would like to add 2 points here. Again, a very good question. The first thing is that hallucinations have reduced a lot, over the last couple of years, I must say. That when ChatGPT was released initially, it used to hallucinate a lot more, and now the models have become much better. So definitely they are doing very good now. The other thing that we need to be aware of is that hallucinations are sort of a feature and not necessarily a bug. And why is that? Because ChatGPT is supposed to be intelligent, to be able to think, to be able to create. And if you talk to any person who can think and who can create, they are likely to, say things sometimes which are not necessarily true because, they're thinking of new ideas which don't exist actually. So I would say that, if you are using ChatGPT for any application, do not look at hallucinations as necessarily a bug. but look at it as a feature which serves two purposes. One is that it helps you in creating new things which don't exist, which requires hallucination of some kind. The other thing is keeps you on your toes, because if it did not hallucinate, you would perhaps become too lazy and just start accepting everything it says. But because you know that it may hallucinate, so you will be very careful, because accepting everything that it will say, which will make you use AI in a much better way. So yeah, while it is annoying to see AI sometimes answer garbage, but I would suggest you look at it in a positive way and take it in the right way, so that it can actually help you in using it, in a much better way. Yeah. So look at the positive side of things.
That's a good response.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Tara, or do we move ahead?
We're all good. Oh wait, no, just one popped up.
Okay.
Can we avoid hallucinations by adding as much detail as possible when giving a prompt to the AI?
Yes, and I'll talk about how to write the prompts a little bit uh, down. And absolutely, the more context you can give, the more narrow the question is, the better the response. Even that, I sometimes actually, so one of the things I do is I take the response and then have the chatbot evaluate the response as though I wrote it. So,
Wow.
and then I use a new chat session for that. And then I ask it to take a critical view. This was created by another chatbot. Can you tell me if it's hallucinated? So it does.
Wow.
So I use it to question its own response and I cheat the system. It helps.
Hmm. All
Yeah.
right.
So here one thing I would like to add is that, so definitely you should add more details and more context, but try not to use a single prompt to do multiple things. So try to stick to one thing in one prompt, and that will also reduce the hallucinations to a significant extent.
That's right. Because it will, because if you're asking three different questions and if they're not similar, if they're not in the same topic, it will start using aspects of one and respond to the other question, and that's not a good idea. And like I always said, if you're trying to take up a completely different topic, use a new chat session. It doesn't benefit to continue the chat in the same session. I archive the sessions many times because I want to go back and sometimes look at the responses, but I always open up a new chat session. And if you're a free user, you'll have some premium issues. Just go ahead and end that session. It's you're better off then, and then copy your responses and then work with it. I re-upload my responses and say, okay, here was the information I was given before. Let's continue the conversation. Here are the three things I'm looking for. Okay. Why don't we continue? And then I'm sure there'll be more questions coming through, and then we'll take up in a bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can go to the next. Yeah, agent.
Yeah, this is a very fascinating conversation. Go ahead, Kushal.
Thank you. So all of you, I'm sure if you are following the AI news, you would have heard about these AI agents. They have literally taken over the AI conversation these days. So what are these AI agents? If you remember, if you have seen the movie Matrix, that had a agent Smith, which was a very interesting character. So you can think of agents, in that sense, that these are intelligent systems that can act automatically on your behalf. What do I mean by that? AI is already automatic, so what more can agents do? So now, so far, what we have spoken about in the context of AI is something that you can ask questions to, and which will give you answers. That is the context in which we have spoken about so far. But AI can do much more than just give you answers, and AI can actually act automatically. What do I mean by act automatically? For example, to complete a certain task, which is relevant to your business, you may, for example, may be required to use different kinds of tools, in a certain sequence. Now, what you would do earlier is that, let's say, given depending on a certain context, you would choose to use tool one instead of tool two. For example, let's say, to take a very simple example, let's say, you are a shop owner, and let's say a customer comes on your billing counter. If the customer has, let's say, purchased only two things, then you do not need a calculator to sum up the total amount. But let's say if the customer has used three things or maybe five things, you may need to use a calculator to come up with the final amount. So depending on the context, the way you process that customer's request changes. Now, these systems, these AI systems have also become intelligent enough to do that for you automatically. So to complete a business process, if you, let's say, have to use different tools in different sequences, depending on the context, the AI agent can do that automatically for you. So you can design AI agents. I mean, for you it is difficult, but I'm saying that AI experts can design these AI agents for you, that can take over a lot of your manual labor and help in significantly improving efficiency. How do they do that? As we discussed, they do that in a very basic way by helping you in generating content of various kinds, but a very significant change in efficiency, in cost reduction happens when you start using these AI agents to take autonomous decisions on your behalf. Of course, you don't want to give an AI the power to take decisions which will have a can have a powerful impact on your revenue or your costing, but at least some of the decisions which are not so risky can definitely be given to the AI. For example, you get a lot of emails, I'm sure, for various business purposes, making business inquiries. You can use AI to identify which of those leads are important enough to require manual inspection, and AI can do that job pretty well. And for emails that AI labels as not so important for manual inspection, you could auto respond to them, thereby significantly reducing your workload so that you can focus on the leads which really matter to you. You can use it to update the CRM. You can use it to generate the reports. Now, when I'm saying generating reports, one way, of course, you can upload an Excel file to ChatGPT, ask it a few questions, it will generate reports for you. But you can go one step further. You can actually create an AI enabled software which can generate intelligent reports for you and even generate alerts depending on different kinds of situations that you may have gotten into. For example, let's say there may be a certain inventory which is currently, let's say, a certain level X, but the AI can sense that depending on the purchase history of the last week or so, you are going to be out of inventory very soon, and it can help in alerting that in an intelligent way. So earlier also people used to do that, but that was rule based. What they would do, that if the inventory, let's say, of item X goes below Y, then we need to place an order. Now that was a very hardcore rule based thing, but now you can do that very intelligently. You can say that analyze my purchases of the customers of that item over the last 2 weeks and figure out whether my current inventory level are sufficient to serve the customers for another week or so, because it takes about a week after I place the order to get that inventory back into my into my business. So AI can generate reports in a much more intelligent way if you use them in a agentic manner. And there are, of course, a lot of tools which you can use to construct these AI agents. But you are, of course, welcome to explore all of them, but they require some technical background, and they also require some amount of expertise. So you can definitely explore all of them, but if you again need help in developing these AI agents for your business, you could talk to people like us who can then help you in creating these things. So for example, we could very easily create a a visual or a workflow for you, which will be based on some web platform, where, let's say, a customer fills some form on your website, and you get the information. The AI analyzes how important this particular lead is, and then it drafts an email, adds data to the sheet, generates reports, and does all that kind of stuff for you, which can significantly help you in improving the efficiency of your processes. Now you want to add something here?
Yeah, I want to add a couple of different things. I want to add a couple of flavors in the news that has come out. Like OpenAI has released an agent version where you can actually create uh, we've kind of worked on that. It's a very limited capability at this point compared to what n8n or Zapier would do. They're much more what I would call simpler agents that you can create. Go to my email, go through these five things, and then kind of spit out something, some basic operations. Whereas when you look at Zapier or n8n, you can actually build quite complex workflows, which have AI embedded within that. Like I said, one thing you always have to be careful is what AI generates is it's not completely trustworthy. So you have to put in some controls within that flow so that you are able to get responses and then action on it in an effective manner. The other thing I want to highlight is I don't know how many of you have been following the news about Perplexity. Perplexity is one of the tools that actually gives you responses with from all different chatbots. So it's a one-stop shop if you're looking for responses from different chatbots. They've recently released a browser. They're trying to compete with Chrome and other browsers. And one of the things they've done is they have released agentic AI features in it, and you can at this point ask it to say, hey, go and look for flights for me, and then it will go and start exploring different airline flights and say, okay, based on your requirements, here are the the flights that and you can actually see AI doing all of it on your screen when you give the command, because it takes time for it to kind of go to different websites, open the page, and do all that. They have the feature to go ahead and even book, which I would hesitate at this point, but it is quite feasible. You say, okay, here's my credit card, and then go ahead and do it. So what I'm trying to get at is there are at this point two flavors of agentic AIs that I've at least observed. One is the ones that at a customer level that can be done, and the other one is these more intelligent workflows that you can use in ATN, Zapier, and others that you can build at the back end to improve your operations. The more context you put, and the more relevant you make your uh, agent AI, the better responses and better results you get. Okay. Let me move on to the next slide, Kushan.
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
Oh, this is me. Okay, so let's get back to some of the prompts. I'm sure all of you have uh, explored ChatGPT and how you want to do it. The most effective thing is context, task, format, and example. So the more details you give, the better responses you get. If you randomly give, like, try to post about coffee, you won't get a good response. But like I said, write a friendly Instagram caption for a local coffee shop promoting a new caramel latte with emojis and calls to action, you'll get something better. But you may want to even more contextualize. Okay, I want to promote something in Princeton, looking at the news articles from the last 3 months, pick something that's non-controversial, and then I want you to come up with, give me three different options promoting caramel latte within this. What are the options you give? And maybe it will give you, oh, recently there was a Halloween parade that happened, so why don't we show some adults in Halloween costumes showing that? So then that becomes a much more relevant post that you can then do it. So the more context and features you add within your prompt, the better it is. The other thing I always use, I like to use prompt generation, is I actually ask ChatGPT to create a prompt for me. So instead of giving a result, I say, okay, help me write a prompt that will give me the most effective response. And I want to write an Instagram post about the coffee in my coffee shop. And then I start giving some. So what it does is, it responds to me saying, okay, here are the five things you need to give details about. And then I start adding the details. It's it takes me about at least 5 to 6 tries to get to a prompt I like. And then I copy the prompt in a Word document and then I go back. Sometimes I just create a new chat session and then use that prompt and then start getting the responses and again fine tune it. The key is to, and I call this prompt, this is called prompt engineering. The key is to have patience, work with it. You will have to go almost every question, you'll have to go at least 3 to 4 different times. And I almost always have it create a prompt from me. So I know what are the different things that it will then teach me. Oh, I need to think about these 5 things within that. Um, I'm actually going to pause. I'm going to see if there are any questions on this or anything else. We could do a demo. I don't know if that's something we want to do. Laura, I don't know if that's if given.
I'm fine with having a demo. There are no questions waiting, so yeah,
If somebody wants to just pop a suggestion on what kind of prompt they want to see, and then we can just kind of explore how it would look like.
great idea.
I'm actually going to create a new chat session. Let me see. Yeah. Laura, let me know if somebody has any suggestions out there. Or Kushal, if you want to give a suggestion, we can go with that.
Okay, we've got one.
Go ahead.
Recommend a gift for a friend who loves sci-fi, as in science fiction.
So just knowing already, so some of the things that are missing in this is who is this friend? If you can better define the friend,
Mm.
it will be better. If you have a price range, it will be better. If it's something you're going to be shipping versus you're going to give in person, that is also better. So why don't we try something different here? Um, Give me a prompt for the following request. And let's see what it does. And then this is what I do. What are the things I have not considered when thinking about this prompt? So now it says, if I can give, what is the age, gender, personality, budget range? What is the
Mhm.
occasion, relationship, preferred sci-fi genres? Is it dystopian? Is it cyberpunk? Is it time travel? Or is it just Avengers style? That would do. Next, what kind of format? Is it a physical trip? Then you can also ask, okay, tone and depth of it. Do you want a simple response or an elaborate response?
Mm.
So, and this is a very interesting one. So, cultural and ethical context. Okay, are there things they might be offended by? Are there things we have to be careful? I've had some ugly experiences on this. So, you think something looks fine, they may have a different take on it. So, if you know, it'll be greater. What is the outcome orientation? What are the drivers? So these are just 6 things ChatGPT asked me to think about when asking for a question. And the more I have, then I can bring it back into the context. So I'm just going to, okay, I'm just going to consider
This
this.
person, the person who recommended this prompt,
Hmm.
is adding that their friend loves Star Trek, and the budget is $50, and it's for a male friend that they are close with.
Star Trek.
So it's a
Um,
close friend.
this
Budget is
is a male
$50.
friend,
Star Trek fan.
but budget is $50. Okay. So, okay, so now I have a prompt. So I'm going to take this prompt, I copy, I do a new chat session, and I paste, and this is what I do. You can see it's trying to think through different scenarios and it's posting. And now it's giving you 5 different suggestions. and it's giving you a brief description of why it is recommending this. Now you can go back and further this one. Now, let's say you want to, and just since it's Princeton, I'm going to say, can you recommend which of these are available at Jazams? I, I'm sure I got the name wrong. Jazams in Princeton. Here, next on checking on Jazams because they're more likely typical inventory, the communicator, Combadge, and LCAR's themed desk. So now you can see that you're getting into a little bit more relevant. And you saw that I tried to create the prompt in one chat and I created a new chat and then I used it. I did not want to go back to the original chat and do it because there might be things I might start asking and it just starts going into a different direction. Having always a new chat is something that's helpful. Let me know if this is helpful. And if somebody wants any other suggestion, we can try another chat. Laura, if you have something you can recommend too.
Oh, wow. I'm trying to think of something. Let's see.
For this situation, here's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Can you recommend some demos for prompt engineering
Ah.
at a uh, generative Gen AI class for small businesses? So this is the power of brainstorm. I'm just trying to show you how brainstorming can happen.
Yeah.
So I don't know the answer, but I can actually ask it, hey, can you give me some recommendations? So like this is a good one, write a social media post for bakery, and then we can try to do that. Or how to become an expert. You're making a consultant for small cafes. Like, what are the things you can do? So you can actually use it if you don't know if you're stuck. Tell ChatGPT you're stuck and what you would like to do, and it can give you some ideas. But then once you have an idea, then start focusing, narrowing your questions.
Of course, I thought of one after the fact, but somebody else popped in with a good one.
Sure.
Traveling to Boston, what can I do? I'm assuming like they're looking for things to do in Boston.
What can I do? This is I'm going to add in November. I'm assuming this is in November. What are the things I have to consider in creating this prompt? So, like I said, so it's purpose, interest, duration, location, budget, seasonal, practical, things that I know it hasn't really gone. I would also say, are you going alone? Are you going with kids? Are you going with the older people? Are there interests? Like, or are you going to get away? Are you going to do this alone? And then it also gives you a couple of some few options. Like for example, so why don't we try this one, this example? It's a well-structured prompt, right? And then see what it does. So it says 4 days, mid-November. Here are some recommendations. It's got some nice pictures. There's the back bay you can walk. There's a Freedom Trail. And obviously, you can always walk along the Charles River. In terms of the coffee places, you have Tat Bakery, Trident Bookstore, live music, Thanksgiving. So, and then this is the other thing I really like, and this actually I did last year. I went to London and I actually fed saying, okay, here's who are all the people I'm doing. I have a couple of toddlers, so can you customize an itinerary for me that the toddlers would enjoy while the adults don't get bored? And then it can do a 4-day itinerary, and then you can actually expand it, saying, okay, here's how you would expand and do it. If you inject saying, hey, there are a couple of days I'm going to spend time with friends, spend time with family, here are the days, and then it will actually even customize it further. So it's a good travel agent. And then with agentic AI, you can go ahead and book everything automatically. All right, I am going to pause and I'm going to go to the next slide here. Okay, so some of the things that I keep running into and I want to talk about this is what are the different challenges small businesses do face? First, the question that comes is AI right for my business? What is my business? Suppose I'm a plumber and I all I do is people call in when there is a plumbing situation, I go and I fix. That's fine. That's great. You're probably not going to be using AI for the front end user. But one thing is when you take the pictures as a plumber, you have to take the pictures. You have to say, hey, where are all the things are the problem. So you'll probably you have a tool that you'll say, okay, here are the 5 things that need to be fixed. Here are the suggestions. Now you can actually use AI to kind of build out some of the responses and what are the different optionalities that they are there, as an example. Second, you can look at your own calls. Hey, when are the calls coming? When is it that I need to staff up or staff down? What are the times that I've experienced in the past 1 year? If you have the data, can you give me some suggestions of when I need to be aware of it? It allows you to be more prepared and things when you may have to staff up and if there is a better option and all. Um, the second, this is probably the biggest thing that I've seen. There's a lot of there are everybody has so far has heard about AI. Most people have tried a chatbot, and that's great. But how to use it effectively is where I see the challenge that everybody runs into. Like I've explained earlier, you can actually use AI to brainstorm. You can use AI to actually develop a work product that would probably require a team of 4 over a 4-week period. But having that effective conversation back and forth and developing that is something that you can do. But you need to know how to use it. And as a business owner, you have employees who probably will say, oh, you want me to use AI? They'll use it for 5 minutes and say, oh, yes, I have used Gen AI today. Um, Training your employees on how to effectively use will help will help miles because then their productivity will really skyrocket. Similarly, data privacy and concerns. Like when you're using one of the big questions, and we always say this, right? Whatever you upload onto your chatbot, it's going to go to the, if you're putting it in ChatGPT, it's going to go to OpenAI. Do not think for a second that they're not getting that information. Now, OpenAI, what it does, it's not going to store every document. It's going to understand the patterns. It's going to use it. It's going to train its data. With that being said, the document is out there. The data is out there. So always be careful. But do not stop using it for the fear of exposing your data. Figure out a way to anonymize your data, remove all the sensitive parts, because the rest of it, trust me, ChatGPT has seen it, some version of it. So it's always best to ask questions within a context. But with that, that is one of the areas that you want to make sure how can you create something that makes more sense. Now, quality and accuracy of AI outputs. So one of the things I always tell people is I treat AI like my analyst. I don't treat AI as an expert. I treat AI as a very knowledgeable analyst who came out of Harvard with some bright ideas and is bubbly at giving all information. But there is no way I'm going to put my analyst in front of my customer. I will manage my customer. I will manage my client. I will manage my business. It's there to help me. It's my assistant. It's my doer. It will create the documents. It will track. It will analyze. It will do all sorts of amazing things, but it is not going to replace me. And that's how I look at it, because you always have to question the output of AI and you have to do it effectively. If you're creating an agentic AI, there are ways to put the controls in place on how to improve it. Similarly, how is it integrated with existing systems? You can always create a workflow that is going to integrate with systems. And right now, almost every system out there is trying to figure out how to integrate AI within their tool. So not only you'll have AI capabilities within the tools that are coming out, you also can actually create AI workflows around the tools. So that's something that is happening. There are lots of people who use it. You just have to figure out how to get there. It's already out there. The most couple of these other two things are very important. The cost, the return of what is the return you're getting. Now, this is a very important question. As you know, the technology is evolving, costs are changing rapidly. With that being said, you want to look at small use cases, and we'll get into a little bit of that in the next slide, and figure out how to utilize it, test it out. Be ready to test it out, because if you don't test it, you won't know what you're losing. The opportunity cost is significant here. With that said, there is a price to pay for the opportunity cost. Similarly, there are biases. There are biases built in. Remember that there is no way there's no bias. So the more context you can give, the more you can reprogram the bias towards things you want. There is no way you can take the bias out of it. It's like humans, right? Every person has a bias built in. It's to be aware of the bias, and then it's to figure out how to act using that bias. It's the same thing with chatbots. They have bias built in. You make sure you kind of give it some context and do not give open-ended chat requests, because it's going to hallucinate there. Anything you want to add here, Kushal? Or do you want me to jump into the?
Yeah, just one single point that, so AI, while very powerful, but as you must have, learned by now, that using it intelligently is also a skill that you need to, learn. So you need to invest some time and energy into it, so that you can master that skill. Yeah, that's all. Please go on.
Yep. This is the most important thing. Now, when you are thinking about implementing any type of AI solution, whether it's a workflow, whether it's a simple buying a premium chatbot that you can have your employees use, or in a limited fashion or a broader fashion, or implement a RAG, think up or actually take up buy a tool that is more customized for your business. It can be any number of these things, right? Understand why you're doing it, is what is the benefit. There is always a cost associated with it. So it's like any new investment. Evaluate the benefit. Remember, it is going to take time for it to produce results that you will like. And for it, it will demand your time. With that said, it will improve. Start small, do simple things, see the benefit. Like Kushal mentioned, there are two things you can all do with generative AI. Basically, one is you can improve your operations, and the other is you can increase your sales and your market. This one. Now, there are two different problems. Understand which problem you're tackling. When it comes to improving your operations, there are a number of things that you can do. You can very quickly calculate, hey, it takes my team 3 weeks to do it. I'm able to do it in 1 day, 2 days. This is great. And then you add the cost of, okay, how much am I spending for this? What is the cost associated with this? Now, increasing the business, there are all these suggestions that, hey, I can do better social media campaigning. I can go ahead and figure out how to create more marketing material. The problem with that is it is going to cost. It is going to cost both in terms of money and time, which is fine. But you need to have a good sales and marketing strategy to see the end result. So that's why there are two different problems. Remember which one you're tackling and evaluate the cost benefit analysis and then come back. And remember the output that you get from generative AI, the quality looks good, but it has to be checked. It's not expert. It's not an expert. It's a it's a good encyclopedia basically. It will give you a lot of information, but you have to extract targeted information. Anything you want to add there, Kushal?
No, no. Sounds
All right. I think that's it. I want to kind of pause and I want to turn it over to Laura. Laura, I want to see if there are questions that have come through in the past 15 minutes.
I do not see any questions in our Q&A.
Okay.
We can request the participants, if possible, if they can share a bit about what kind of business they are running, so maybe we can give them some
I think
specific input.
that's a great idea because it's 7:41, so we've got 20 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, so guys, please, if you have any, thoughts, about your business, you don't need to have any questions about AI, but if you can just share a little bit about your business, we'll be happy to give you some quick suggestions now about how you could use AI for that.
So can I ask a question myself, just to make sure
Yes.
I understand something, as we're waiting for folks to think of what they want to ask? The agent AI. So last week I called my doctor's office and I got a bot who sounded very real. But once I tried to speak to her, I could tell by the way she was responding. And then she admitted, I said, "Are you a real person?" And she said, "I'm an AI agent." So that is an example of the agent AI you're speaking of, correct? They were trying to use it for scheduling of appointments.
Kushal, do you want to take that?
Yes, yes, this is definitely a very good example of a agent, and this is something that some of the businesses where appointment taking is relevant could definitely use, and a great application definitely. And as somebody is asking on the chat, can you demo how to use agent AI and
They
RAG?
they also and rag, yeah, sorry.
And right, right. So basically, we saw an example right now when Naga was sharing the screen, and Naga asked about, what kind of gifts you would like to give and what kind of things are available at Princeton. And if you noticed, the system gave you. Please, can you share that screen, Naga, again, where you
Yeah.
asked that question? So
Yeah, of
there,
course.
what ChatGPT did is that it figured out that to answer the question, it had to do a search on the web, right? So that is a decision that the AI took, that it realized that it does not have the information to answer the question. It needs to find information on the web. So that's a decision that AI took based on the context of the question. So that is how an agent operates. And what was RAG? So ChatGPT has a huge database of information available on the internet. Based on the user question, the ChatGPT's algorithm went to its database, extracted the relevant links and the pictures, and showed that to you with a summarized response. That's the classic, example of how RAG operates. है ना? So step one is to figure out, is search necessary? The answer was yes. That was an example of agent. Second, after the search became necessary, it actually went to search for that information in its database and get you links and pictures, which is possible only through RAG because it needs to identify which of the links in its database of billions of links are actually relevant for a given problem. So yeah, this is RAG and agent right in front of you live that you can see.
Yeah, I think this was the one. Yeah,
and
this was
and
the
and,
one.
and the great thing is that you can build it for yourself. If you have a company who is selling a certain product, you can build this system for your company, so that if a customer comes and asks, is this particular product available at the store, or do these products have these features, your AI system will be able to answer questions for your customers, and perhaps even help them in placing the order directly without having to click too many buttons. So yeah.
Any other questions that folks want answered relevant to your particular business or business need or business problem? Oh, we have one. Where can I learn to write better prompts? Aside from this presentation, where can this person go to hone their ability to write better prompts?
Yeah, Naga, go
Uh,
ahead.
one of the things is we actually do teach. One of the things we do teach is prompt engineering. We actually do conduct courses on how to write better prompts that's more relevant. With that being said, I'm going to ask Kushal. Kushal, are there other trainers or places that people can learn how to do better prompt engineering?
Right.
Better
Please,
than
can you
me.
go to please, can you show that slide where we were talking about how to construct a prompt?
Yeah, let me just. I have realized I have too many things on my desktop. So, yeah, yeah.
The
Can you see?
slide. I see the photo. Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, this one. Yeah. So here, if you see the second line, it says effective prompt structure, context, task, format, and example. Example is not necessary, but context, task, and format. This is basically what a good prompt is. Beyond that, it is a lot about self-practice. And of course, there are some certain templates which we teach when we do prompt engineering as a proper course. But basically, a good prompt has these three things. If you give it the right context, if you give it the right task, and if you give it the format of the output in which you want the final output to be, you are likely to get a good answer. And as Naga just showed you, you can ask AI also to help you in identifying what information you need to give in a prompt for it to work in a better way. You just now Naga gave you a demo some time back where he asked AI that, okay, I want to go to Boston, where are the places I can visit? And then what are the things required to create a good prompt for that? And AI gave you a good list of stuff. So if you are, cognizant of that simple structure of context, task, and format, and ask AI what more context do you need, it will give you suggestions on its own, which you can then incorporate into a prompt and then try what works for you. So this is a bit
One
of trial
other,
and error thing also, but
yeah,
yeah.
one other thing I always like to add is the role. I define the chatbot's role for me. What I mean by that is sometimes I say, look, you're an analyst, and I define the company I'm in, right? I say, okay, here's a company, we sell these things, and you are an analyst within the company. And what you're doing is you're trying to give me some suggestions on this. So it gives me. Then in some other cases, I say, hey, you are the CEO of the company, and here's the type of the company we're talking about. Give me some suggestions. Then sometimes I go and say, look, you are the compliance officer. Now, with the compliance officer's hat, and here are the questions, you tell me. So I don't want you to go crazy. I want you to bring in your compliance context and say, hey, what regulations I might potentially be seeing because of your response. So you can kind of put a frame of reference within that when you're trying to ask the question and then get the responses, and that also helps. Again, it's a lot of trial and error, and it's a little bit of, it's more art than science on how you develop the prompt and get to the responses you like.
Um, Yeah, so someone posted in the chat that there's a I mean, I was going to also suggest who the person answered who asked that question about where to learn how to write better prompts. Um, this is something that we, librarians can research for you if there are free resources online. And I believe someone just shared a resource, keeppace.com. There looks like there's some free AI videos. Up there and some resources up there. So I would encourage that person to look out for what's out online. Like you can literally Google something like this. I'm sure there's a lot of folks who've put together some suggestions and examples on their websites too. We have two more questions. Uh, if I owned a law firm, how could I use AI to help me with my business?
Law firms are actually one of the first set of organizations that have started using AI. Um, it's actually as a law firm, one of the big things you do is you actually create contracts, you create TNCs, you create conditions, right? AI can do a lot of that in a very quick manner. And as you create either a RAG or create a set of instructions saying here are the 20 things that need to be, so you can basically you can create a 3-page prompt. You can basically say, hey, here's a document, here are the TNCs that always have to be, here are the rules. So the creation of the document actually has become much quicker, and law firms were one of the first organizations who adopted chat GPTs. The flip side to this is, I'm sure you've heard about in the news, is there have been situations where ChatGPT has created fake lawsuits and create fake quoted fake cases, very convincingly wrote briefs saying which are not real. So you have to make sure you check the information. But with that said, use AI initially on a research mode, not an output mode. Meaning, ask AI, hey, here's the context I'm looking at. Suppose you're defending someone, and here's the context what are the cases out there that could make it more relevant, and it could give you some information. Using that, go back and then get deeper into it. Never ask AI for a final output in your first prompt or in your first chat session. Always use it to learn more and figure out what you can ask, and then get to that fourth or fifth chat session to finally ask for the output, and then it will give you a better output that's more relevant to your question. But there are so many things you can do. You can write briefs, you can write TNCs, you can create new context, you can look at, hey, what are the different regulations? Suppose you have a client who's creating a product in New Mexico, and then he or she, they're trying to sell something in Boston. Hey, what are the rules of the road from a New Mexico perspective versus Massachusetts? And here we are situated in New Jersey, and let's say your customer is ordering from Washington State. What are the different, triangulate the different aspects that I need to think about, like as an example.
Thank you. We've got two more questions here. The first one, how can AI be used to help a grocery store?
Inventory management. I don't think there's a better way. Like Trader Joe's traditionally does this better, right? Like they actually, if you look at Trader Joe's shelves, they always put the most seasonal items up front. It's not for nothing. It's not to just promote the season. It's because that's what they have in abundance at that point. Um, and there are things that don't come in till like a different month altogether, different time. So having that inventory, having your purchasing customers, when are they purchasing, what times are they purchasing, um, both from an inventory management, and then use that to reflect on your staff management. When do you staff up? When do you staff down? what times of the day you are. Now, a lot of this, the bigger firms, they typically employ consultants, shell out a lot of money to get that information. Now, you can do it, feeding the information into a chatbot and then have it analyzed for you. Like I said, make sure you do an intelligent analysis to get some of these results. Uh, Back-end work, accounting, taxation, tax planning, your receipts, evaluate. A lot of things can be done through AI in creating some of this information. Kushal, do you have anything more you want to add? I'm sure there are tons of things you can do from
Yeah, but
process.
one specific thing, definitely inventory management is the most important thing which you should use AI for. One more thing that you should definitely use AI for is better customer service. So let's say, if you're a grocery store which keeps exact details of, who your customers are, what are they buying on a daily basis, you can track that, ask AI to make intelligent recommendations for your customers. For example, let's say a customer, bought something every week for the last few months, but forgot to buy it this week. You can just send them a gentle reminder, or that you forgot to buy this item this week. Is everything all right, or something? And for example, let's say if you see them buying, let's say, too many chocolates in a certain week, you can just ask them, that, hey, are you okay? Because they may be going into depression, or something like that, because of which they may be buying a lot of chocolate. So you can detect anomalies in purchase behavior and make intelligent recommendations to your customers, which I think can help you in developing a deeper relationship with your customers, and they feel that they are being cared for.
I would just caution one thing. Remember privacy. Consider privacy aspects when you are doing. You don't need to do overt recommendations. Also, you don't need to personalize just to avoid any privacy concerns. With that being said, you can look at patterns, right? Suppose there is a sudden spike of buying chocolates in the middle of the summer, which is unusual. It's not Valentine's Day, it's not Halloween, but then there's some there's some other event, there's some school event or high school event happening. So having AI kind of say, hey, here are all the different things I sell as products. Here's the local community events that are happening. Can you do a matchup and say where might be an increased demand in a particular product, as an example? So, like, just kind of use that information and then figure out how you would kind of increase your inventory or decrease and plan on those some of those things. The compliance person in me just make sure you take care of your privacy concerns there. Yeah.
Um, Before we get to this, we'll have time for one more question. But before I share the question with everyone here, I did want to mention that Kushal shared a article that he wrote about prompt engineering, which was very helpful. Thank you, Kushal. I shared it with the group, so check the chat feature on the bottom toolbar. There is a link to that article waiting for you. Okay,
Thanks, Laura.
so yeah, no, thank you. This next question is quite interesting. Since AI is pulling information that already exists on the internet, how original are its responses?
It's not, let me put it this way. Creating, it's not taking ideas from existing information. It's it's learning the pattern of responses and giving you a response that's relevant to you. Can it give you an original idea? Yes, it can, but you have to let it hallucinate. So the more you can allow it to hallucinate, the more interesting creative ideas you'll get. So it's a double-edged sword, right? You can push the chatbot to give you original responses. It can become too original for you sometimes. So like that's honestly my response to your question. It can. You have to know how to ask, but remember, it will significantly hallucinate at that point.
Yeah, to kind of add on to that, so what AI is learning, as the question rightly said, it is pulling off information from the internet, but it is not remembering stuff like a rule-based thing would do. It is learning the pattern. So it can be original, but within the limits of the patterns it has learned. It cannot break the pattern. Just like most human beings, I would say, very few human beings like Albert Einstein or Richard Feynman can actually go beyond the patterns that they have learned. Similar thing applies to AI also. It has learned a lot of patterns, and it will give you something which is original within the boundaries of the patterns which it has learned.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a really interesting question, and I appreciate your explanation. I wish we had more time, but we it is 8 o'clock. Is there any last thoughts, or are there any last thoughts or comments that you want to share with those of us who are attending this evening?
I mean, the only thing I'll say is one, Laura, thank you so much for the opportunity here. It was really wonderful questions that the audience has asked. Kushal and I are available if you guys have more questions. We are happy to engage in a conversation. I'm a local Princeton resident. Laura, we can give you our emails so you can happy to share with them and they can shoot a question to us. We'll also share the tools list with you. I'll PDF it and send it to you so you can share that with the group as well. Kushal, anything you want to add there?
No, I just want to say that I am very excited about AI and what it can do for small businesses, including libraries. So, really hope to see Princeton becoming the AI application hub, very soon in the near future. And we are happy to help small businesses in doing that. So, yeah, thank you very much once again for the opportunity and for the interaction. Looking forward to more.
Oh, thank you. I'm delighted that we had you here with us tonight. Before we go, will they come back again? Can they share their slides? Um, can you, can you share your slides? Is that possible?
Yes.
Am I able to?
Yes
Oh,
to both. Yes to both.
okay, wonderful. Yes, they're coming back. We just don't know when.
We can come back. Yeah.
Yeah, but Naga Naga does live in the area. I will, it, everyone who's here tonight registered, so I will share that tools list and the slides with you, and as well as emails in case you would like to reach out to the presenters with any specific questions that you might have. And I'm looking forward to talking to you too, Kushal, about some AI for libraries.
Great.
Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We hope you enjoyed this. Someone said great presentation. Thank you. And we're just fortunate that Kushal is a morning person. He's coming to us from India this evening, very early in his morning. So thank you so much, Kushal, and thank you, Naga, for setting
Thank
this up with us.
thank
And I wish everyone a safe and restful evening.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
everybody,
Laura.
once
Thank you,
again.
everyone.
Thank you, Laura. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye bye.